Good early afternoon. We are live. It's good to be back. It's Tuesday, and you've joined us for a Blue Plate special. I'm Andy Andrews, your host, and if you haven't joined us before, welcome. We're broadcasting live from Orange Beach, Alabama, here in the financial district of Orange Beach, amid all the skyscrapers. I am in the tallest building in town. So we're on the second floor. Karen Jones, hey, glad you are here in beautiful downtown Berea, Kentucky to catch the Blue Plate special. And Martin Simmons, how are you? Floyd the Barber says, hey. This is going to be a good show. And I want to watch Sonia as I say this. I'm kind of freezing in here. I'm rarely freezing. Matt Wilson, a friend of mine, was in here yesterday when we were filming the podcast with the sound, and Matt said, "Is it cold in here or is it just me?" I said, "It's probably cold in here." So that's what everybody who works here says. But, I figure they can put on a sweater. I can't take off my clothes. There you go. See? Sometimes I'll go around the corner and Sonia will be sitting at her desk with a blanket on. Oh, all right. Who else is here? Dina Kilpatrick, how you doing? Thank you for sharing. We're broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn for all the people wearing ties, X, Instagram, and wisdomharbor.com. Dorothy Ann Jefferson Scott. Boy, that's a long name. Dorothy Ann Jefferson Scott. Do you remember the football player guy played for Ole Miss, and his name was Ben Jarvis Green Ellis? I thought that was such a great name. And I was talking to Polly about him the other night, Dorothy Ann Jefferson Scott. I was talking to Polly about Ben Jarvis Green Ellis last night because we always thought that was such a cool name. And she said, I wonder where he is now. And I looked it up, and he played in the NFL, and now he's back home in Mississippi. And somebody said, he's just Jarvis Green now. Joe Giles. Hey, man. From Mississippi, not too far from DeKalb, the land time forgot. Cindy Tesh, Keith Hunter, Patricia Neal, bunch of you guys on here today. Zenny Cole, Amarillo, Texas. It's chilly here. It's cold here. I think it's cold outside, which is why it's cold in here to me. Or maybe it's just cold in this little aquarium I'm sitting in. Daryl from Niceville. We got a really good Blue Plate special today. And we're doing it because George Cosser joined. Big G, glad to have you here. This might be one you want to watch again. I don't know. But there's a couple of lines of thought that came into this one today. I hated poetry when I was growing up. I don't know why, but I didn't like it. And if I did like poetry, I liked the ones that told stories. I could deal with that. I really did not like poetry that did not rhyme. To me, that was not poetry. That was just pretentious stuff putting on paper, and then you're saying it's poetry. But poetry, back at the turn of the century, the last one, not this one, back at like 1900, a poet was a big deal. Poets were big deals. They were stars. And before I tell you, well, here, I'll go ahead and tell you. I asked the question, where are the poets today? Where are they? And I think they're the songwriters. Our songwriters are poets, but there's no money in poetry. There's not a poetry book that goes on the bestseller list. And so the creative people that can do that or that do that migrate to songwriting because there's an income there. And so I started looking at some songs as poetry. But first, I thought you'd like to hear, I've also gone back. I've become a fan of several poets now. Marcy Taylor said, "What is that picture behind you? A bird of some kind?" Which picture? That one? That's an owl. It's an owl. You know, most people learn that in kindergarten, but that's an owl. That is an eagle. And that my caption for that eagle is, "I am smiling." I took both of those in Alaska and that big bruiser grizzly bear in Alaska. Okay, so we're going back to 1907, and I'm gonna do what was written as a poem. Okay, this was not written as a song, it's written as a poem. And it was in a book that sold 3 million copies. Okay, this is a poem by Robert Service, who wrote The Cremation of Sam McGee. He wrote the Shooting of Dan McGrew. Great story things. And so, oh, Marcy says the other side. Oh, that is a swallow-tailed kite. And that is a very unusual picture, actually, because there's just not many of them, and people can't get pictures of them. That's the only picture I've ever gotten of one, and I see them every now and then, but I either don't have my camera in hand or I can't get it in focus quick enough while the thing flies over. But that is a swallow-tailed kite. And the reason you don't see many of them, you don't see them in these places where people are holding them and, showing them to everybody, is because they eat in the air. We were at the hunting camp one time, and one of them flew over us eating a brim while he was flying. But they eat in the air. They don't eat when they're sitting still. So I guess people don't have them to hunt with or fish with because they can't feed them, I guess. Okay, all right. Back to Robert Service. Marcy, is that enough on the pictures for you? And I appreciate the fact that you already knew what an owl was. Okay, so here is a fairly short poem by Robert Service that I think is just brilliant, and it's called Privacy. This was written in 1907. Oh, you who are shy while in the public eye, and the rest of us seek to survive it, just think of the goldfish who wanted to die because her own life was not private. There are pebbles and reeds for aquarium needs. There are bass and pike who are bold fish. But who gives a thought to a quiet little spot for the sensitive soul of a goldfish? So the poor little thing swam round in a ring in a globe of crystalline crudity. Swam round, but no refuge she found from the public display of her nudity. No being discreet in a glass-walled retreat, the eyes of onlookers won't exempt her. It's no wonder she paled and her appetite failed, till even a fly couldn't tempt her. I watched with dismay as she faded away. Each day she grew slimmer and slimmer. From an amber that burned to a silver she turned, then swiftly became dimmer and dimmer. No longer she gleamed, like a specter she seemed. One morning I anxiously sought her, but I only could stare. She was no longer there. She'd simply dissolved in the water. So when you behold bright fishes of gold in globes of immaculate purity, just think how they'd be more contented and free if you gave them a little obscurity. And you who make laws, get busy, because you can brighten the lives of untold fish. It is sadness we note, so a law we promote to ensure private life for the goldfish. I think that is great. Now, I don't know how you'd put that to music. Then there is another kind of poem that can be turned into a song. Jerry Reed was really good at these, where it would be a spoken word kind of thing, and then the chorus would be music, and then it'd go back to spoken word, right? You remember Amos Moses and When You're Hot, You're Hot, and all those songs like that. And so this is one. It was written to be a song like that. Now, everything I'm going to read today you haven't heard. I mean, these are not yet on the radio, or even though one of them has just been released today on the podcast, but we'll get to that in a minute. This one is just a silly little one called Dumplings and Jesus. Okay, here we go. Mr. Dixie did food. He was an old black dude, used to sell Sunday meals downtown. From an old fruit stand on a vacant piece of land, wasn't nothing but gravel on the ground. He had a large umbrella. It was blue and yellow, except to keep the old man in the shade. He put a broken red recliner in this little odd diner, and he'd sit there sipping lemonade. There was a pot on a table, no health department label, steam seeping from the edges of the lid. We'd get a plate of his dumplings, dang, they was something. Then you'd wait while Mr. Dixie bowed his head. Lord, he'd say, we don't chew 'fore we pray, so let's wrap this thing up nice and neat. There ain't time for confessing, I'm just asking for your blessing on these folks and the food they're about to eat. Mr. Dixie served Jesus with a side of chicken and dumplings. He'd ladle it out on a paper plate to go. You got a plastic fork and a couple of paper towels, just $1.50 for the dumplings, and a prayer to soothe your soul. Now, City Hall told the paper that Dixie's dumpling vapor was clogging Sunday traffic downtown. The mayor's verdict rendered said one more fender bender'd be enough to shut Dixie's diner down. Wasn't nobody, though, that wanted Dixie to go. It was the mayor they all wanted out. So at the next election, they made Dixie their selection, and he won the mayor's race in a rout. Now, Mayor Dixie serves Jesus with a side of chicken and dumplings. He even says his blessing on government ground. There's no change in plastic wares, and if anybody cares, the ACLU has completely stopped coming round. Mr. Dixie serves Jesus with a side of chicken and dumplings. He still ladles it out on paper plate to go. You get a plastic fork and a couple of paper towels. It's $1.50 for the dumplings and a prayer to soothe your soul. Okay, see those parts that repeat in there, that's the chorus. And so I wonder sometimes, I wrote that, by the way, not bragging, I'm just admitting to it, I guess. But I see, when you read songs, or when they turned these poems into songs, they had to have a repeating place, the chorus. You have the verse, the chorus, the verse, the chorus, the verse, the chorus, and the chorus is always the same. So when you read these, it may seem a little odd to read something that repeats like that, because I don't really find that except to repeat a line in a traditional poem. So this next one, you know who Jimmy Yeary is? Sure you do. Jimmy Yeary is the award-winning songwriter. He's got 15 number one hits and 3 Song of the Years. And he actually had, at one time a couple of years ago, had the number one song on the country charts, which was She's Somebody's Daughter, and at the same time had the number one song on the bluegrass charts with Outrun the Rain, which Outrun the Rain eventually went on to be named Song of the Year. So that was his third Song of the Year. But Jimmy is like my little brother. Jimmy's a contributor to Wisdom Harbor, and Jimmy and I have written a number of things together. And he's got two on an album he has coming out, two that we wrote together. And we wrote one that Wes Hampton recorded. And so we've got a lot of stuff that we just kind of play with. But the last time he was up at the camp, we wrote a song, and I wish you could hear the music, but, you know, I had started on the lyrics before Jimmy ever got there, and so then he gets there and puts the music together, and we mess with some of the words and all, but I like this one. I mean, I'm just telling you, I like it, and nothing has been done with it. We hadn't done anything with it. We hadn't even got a demo made of it, but for your poetry needs, here it is. This is small town backyard stuff in the summertime. We hit wiffle balls with plastic bats, use skin so soft to fight the gnats, playing hide and seek, hey, where you at? 'Cause I don't have a clue. We pestered birds with BB guns, ate bologna and cheese on hot dog buns, new high tops, come on, let's run, 'cause I'm faster than you. It was garden hose thirsty, sticks and stones can't hurt me. It was our own little Camelot, jump off the roof, you're an astronaut. A rusty nail earned you a tetanus shot, now mama's mad again. Shoelaces tied in a granny knot, bedtime didn't mean diddly squat. You always think that you're hot snot when you're a little kid. There were things that we kept hidden, they were forbidden. Could have told the old man, but we didn't, 'cause we all knew he'd have tanned our hide. It was small town backyard stuff in the summertime. We'd ride our bikes till we were out of steam, set fire to ant beds with gasoline, had 4 springs missing on the trampoline, but we kept right on jumping. Swung on ropes that were tied to trees, we were superhero wannabes, 'cause caught lightning bugs and set 'em free, 'cause Mom called us for supper. Out behind that house, it was heaven, no doubt. It was our own little Camelot. Jump off the roof, you're an astronaut. A rusty nail earned you a tetanus shot, now mama's mad again. Shoelaces tied in a granny knot, bedtime didn't mean diddly squat. You always think that you're hot snot when you're a little kid. There were things that we kept hidden, they were forbidden. Could have told the old man, but we didn't, 'cause we all knew he'd have tanned our hide. It was small town backyard stuff in the summertime. We survived it all somehow, and these pictures are taking me back right now to our own little Camelot. Jump off the roof, you're an astronaut. A rusty nail earned you a tetanus shot, now mama's mad again. Shoelaces tied in a granny knot, bedtime didn't mean diddly squat. You always think that you're hot snot when you're a little kid. There were things that we kept hidden, they were forbidden. Could have told the old man, but we didn't, 'cause we all knew he'd have tanned our hide. It was small town backyard stuff in the summertime. Yeah, I miss that small town backyard stuff in the summertime. So, like that? Thank you. Yeah, so at some point, we're going to do something with that. Now, this is one that I'm really excited to read to you. I had to get permission to do this. I didn't have to call a lawyer. I just called my son. Austin is a songwriter in Nashville, and he's just getting going. He's already performing all over the place, and he's like doing 18, 19 dates a month, and so you can find him. Can you put that up where to get on Austin's Instagram or whatever? And it's Austin Gray. Austin Gray is his middle name, and so that's what he uses as his stage name, Austin Gray. And this is a song that when I read the lyrics, I just thought, boy, this is really good. I mean, I'm a writer, and this is really good. And it's not the first one. I don't even think this is the best one that he's written, but it just lends itself to reading this kind of poetry, songwriting thing we're doing today. One of the things I think is cool about this, and it was probably the song part of it, even though this would work as poetry too, is the first 4 lines of the verse are the last 4 lines in the whole thing too. So it comes back full circles. So anyway, he explains, how in small towns, there's always an abandoned mansion. Every small town has a haunted house. And so this is what that's about. It's called The Old Home Place by Austin Gray. Here we go. There's an old home place just off the road, all covered in kudzu. Spider lilies grow in the ditch by the driveway it runs through. It used to be all that, used to be the talk of the town, but nobody comes back looking once you're in the lost and found. When I was little, it was haunted, but in Grandma's day, it was nice. Those who moved in after her didn't change too much inside. Doors got locked, the power cut off, people don't even try to go in, except small children on moonlight dares while the older kids laugh at them. You hear stories about the ones inside that never make a sound. Ain't no one to keep that place up, so they talk about tearing it down. It's in everyone's directions when they're passing through this town. Nobody pays no mind to the house the ghosts all hang around. Nails on walls from pictures and the sunspots that they left, boarded up old windows, pennies in mason jars they kept. Don't get caught there after midnight, because if the stories are true, there's an old man in that attic who's always got his eyes on you. You hear stories about the ones inside that never make a sound. Ain't no one to keep that place up, so they talk about tearing it down. It's in everyone's directions when they're passing through this town. Nobody pays no mind to the house the ghosts all hang around. They just keep to themselves. Nobody disturbs their peace. I hear talk about my grandparents. They passed when I was 3. You hear stories about the ones inside that never make a sound. Ain't no one to keep that place up, so they talk about tearing it down. Folks don't swing by to visit when they're passing through this town. Once a treasure, now a lost and found. Nobody pays no mind to the house the ghosts all hang around. There's an old home place just off the road, all covered in kudzu. Spider lilies grow in the ditch by the driveway it runs through. I love that. So anyway, good on you, Austin. That's a great song. That'll do something. And you should hear him sing it. I mean, because with the song and the guitar, I mean, it's a lot more impressive than what I just did. Okay, here is a curious one that I was just made aware of yesterday. We had the sound in here. That's Rob, Levi, and Jacob Mills. And they were in here yesterday to record a podcast that just came out this morning. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's going to be one of the best ever. I mean, you need to watch it. And so they were doing some stuff, and I said, well, what do you have? What are you working on? And Levi said, well, I wrote a song with Jimmy Yeary that I think is pretty good. And I was like, really? You wrote one with Jimmy, huh? And so they did it for us. Now, we're going to show it to you with the music. But first, I want to read it to you just like you would hear this as a poem, all right? And then hear how that poem makes it into a song. So this is called God and the Grand Ole Opry. Thank you all for tuning in. This is WSM Radio. Daddy, can you turn it up a little more? As a kid, I couldn't wait to hear the songs they would play. It's like they were preaching in a way I'd never heard before. Those legends of the Mother Church would sing and bend their strings. They were ramblers. They were gamblers. They were outlaws like the cowboys on TV. They hit the bottle, but they played the gospel. And I learned about the cross from rugged sinners just like me. One night I saw the light I always heard about from Hank. Guess I have God and the Grand Ole Opry to thank. Well, they understood my pain because they weren't strangers to the rain. The good Lord knew I would listen because they lived what I'd been through. If I was ever going to see Amazing Grace, I'd surely found the place. They were ramblers, they were gamblers, they were outlaws just like the cowboys on TV. They hit the bottle, but they played the gospel, and learned about the cross from rugged sinners just like me. One night I saw the light I always heard about from Hank. Yes, I have God and the Grand Ole Opry to thank. How about that? That is cool. So, you want to see it? You want to see it as they were singing it right here yesterday? Matt, can we play that?
1, 2, 3. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is WSM Radio. Daddy, can you turn it up a little more? As a kid, I couldn't wait to hear the songs they would play. It's like they were preaching in a way I'd never heard before. Those legends of the Mother Church would sing and bend their strings. They were ramblers, and they were gamblers. They were outlaws like the cowboys on TV. They hit the bottle, but they played the gospel. And I learned about the cross from rugged sinners just like me. One night I saw the light I always heard about from Hank. Guess I have God and the Grand Ole Opry to thank. Well, they understood my pain, 'cause they weren't strangers to the rain. The good Lord knew I'd listen, 'cause they lived what I'd been through. If I was ever gonna see Amazing Grace, I found a place. 'Cause they were ramblers, they were gamblers. They were outlaws like the cowboys on TV. They hit the bottle, but they played the gospel. And I learned about the cross from rugged sinners just like me. One night I saw the light I always heard about from Hank. Yes, I have God and the Grand Ole Opry to thank. Yeah, the songs were still the same on Sunday morning, but I felt it more on Saturday night. 'Cause they were ramblers, and they were gamblers. They were outlaws like the cowboys on TV. They hit the bottle, but they played the gospel. And I learned about the cross from rugged sinners just like me. One night I saw the light I always heard about from Hank. Yes, I have God and the Grand Ole Opry to thank.
Wow. How about that? Turning a poem into music. So this is why I think that our poets today are songwriters. Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, Jimmy Yeary. These people, these are the people right now that are writing the memories that we have. And so Dina Kilpatrick said, these guys, the sound, can turn a conversation topic into music. They're amazing. I think you will be shocked if you watch the podcast. And Debbie Sullivan says the first time in, your cousin tagged you. Okay, well, we're glad you're here. You're right at the end. We've only got a silly thing left, but we're glad you're here. You can go back and watch it. Yeah, we're going to end with something silly. I wrote it, and I wrote it for Jerry Reed, but he'd been dead 10 years and wouldn't record it. So I don't know what we're going to do with this either. This is really kind of one that I have to entertain my friends, and you're my friends. And so I don't know what you'll see the chorus, but I don't know what the chorus music would be. But this is called Jimmy Dean Saved My Life. I had just got home from the grocery store, took my stuff from the car, and got in the back door when I was reaching in the dark for the switch to the overhead light. I turned it on, the feller jumped out. He had a pistol, so I knew what he was about. "Stick 'em up," said the burglar, "don't even try to fight." I put my groceries on the floor, moving real slow. "Are you hungry?" I asked him, and he said no. I said, "I'd hate for you to leave without a bite to eat." "I got some Jimmy Dean sausage," I said with a grin, "and I must say you're looking mighty thin. The skillets on the stove won't take more'n a minute to heat." Well, he relaxed a bit and let his gun hand waver, said, "I still might shoot you, but I'll accept the favor, and I must say you're a forgiving example of the human race." Now, the sausage was frozen in a 5-pound roll. That meat was harder than a telephone pole. I picked it up like a bat and hit him full on in the face. Yeah, this is a story of how Jimmy Dean came to my rescue. If you have his sausage on hand, he might just help you too. You can count on Big Bad John when there's danger, fear, and strife. I'm living proof, 'cause Jimmy Dean saved my life. His knees buckled when I hit him, but he held on to the gun. Then Jimmy popped his elbow, which must have hurt a ton, but the robber stayed upright like his head was on a tee. So I took the proper grip, and I kept my head down, got my backswing going, whipped the frozen meat around. Now, I must admit my drive could have been off a degree. It was a slice for sure, 'cause his noggin went right. I swung the sausage again, this time hooked it a mite, but now he's off the leaderboard and in the rough, I guarantee. Yeah, this is a story of how Jimmy Dean came to my rescue. If you buy his sausage, he might just help you too. You can count on Big Bad John when there's danger, fear, and strife. I'm living proof, 'cause Jimmy Dean saved my life. It's probably the most serious thing I will ever write. But so that's it today. Poetry into songs, and some silly poetry that just kind of sits. Hey, Sandy Atkins from El Salvador, glad you're in here with us today. Hey to the Pentagon guys that are watching over lunch in the office, and we're glad to have had you with us. We're again Thursday, right? Yep, Thursday for all the subscribers to wisdomharbor.com. And if you haven't subscribed yet, come on, get that done. This is very inexpensive and a very cool piece to your family life. wisdomharbor.com. All right, take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.